In this video, we're going to look at modifying and deleting object properties. So if I have a property of an object and I want to modify it, that is possible. And if I want to delete as well, it can be done, right? So let's see how we can do that. So starting with modifying an object property. So to modify a property of an object, use any of the methods in accessing the object property and then reassign with a new value. So in the previous video, we saw that we can use either the dot notation or the bracket notation to access the property of an object. So you can see that in this case, we are using the dot notation, and here we are using the bracket notation. So any of these methods can be used. So to modify the property of an object, we first use any of these methods. It can be this dot method or the bracket method to access the property we want to reassign or we want to modify, and then we reassign the value. So let's see how we can do that. So here we have this is the first name, like this. So we want to reassign this. So the first name we want it to be Joseph instead of Lawrence. So we say Joseph like this. So this first name on the student object has been reassigned to Joseph. Let's do that on the second object as well using the second method. So using the bracket method, we will do this, Joseph. Right. So this is how we do that. And if we want to access the values again, we do the same. So let's see what happens. So if I run this, we see we have Lawrence, Joseph. So in the second instance, in this instance, the value of first name property has been reassigned or modified in both objects, in this object and in this. So in the first case, here we are using the dot notation. So we have student dot first name is equal to Joseph. So in this case, we are reassigned first name to Joseph. And then in the second object, we are using the bracket method. So student data in bracket first name is equal to Joseph. So I just wanted to show you that any of these methods will work. I will still emphasize that this is more convenient. So if you are dealing with this kind of data where you know all the properties, if you want to modify, then automatically you can easily do this with the dot notation, right? So this is more convenient, and you are going to be seeing this more in JavaScript programs. This as well is useful. If you feel more comfortable with this, you can go ahead. This works fine as well. So you can use this method as well instead of the dot notation. Another thing we can do is to delete a property from an object. So to delete a property from an object, we can use the delete keyword. We can see that in this example here. So we can delete, let's say I want to delete the age property from this object. Again, we are going to be using both the dot notation and the bracket notation just to show you that both methods work. In your code, I would advise that you choose one method to stick with. So if you are going with the dot notation, you can stick with that. If you are going with the bracket notation, it's good to stick with it as well. But any of the methods will work fine. So we want to delete the age from this object. So to do that, we type in the delete keyword like this, and then we access the property we want to delete. So the student.age in this case, and students data. In this case, we want to use the bracket notation, so we have to do this. And if I print, let's do this again. So if I print just the object, we're going to see that the object will be printed without the age, to confirm that the age property was deleted from both objects. So we can see in this object we have first name, last name, and email. Age is not there anymore. First name, last name, email. Age is not there anymore. So this is how we can delete a property from an object. So if you are working on a program, you have used a particular property from an object and you don't need it anymore. So instead of keeping it in memory, we can just go ahead to delete it. Yeah, so this is rarely used though, but it's good to know. So this is how you can delete object property